Rational Lek Elephants. Welcome to our ENSE 471 project delivery. We are the Rational Lek Elephants, Group A. I am Avery Cameron.
I am Renz Rivero.
I'm Yash Patel.
So we want to start off with our problem definition. The Fire and Protective Services Children Education Program uses touchtone phones that kids no longer know how to use. This hinders 911 call demonstrations. Information to parents is going home in letter format, which is not as effective as desired. The rationale for this: we created this problem definition based off of information from Candace's initial presentation, as well as through our first deliverable. The general presentation introduced us to the idea and the overall problem. Our notes when we came together identified the main problem and need to be a new phone system. We then used empathy maps and an affinity diagram to understand the problem better and identify what we understood to be the focus and the need of each groups involved. Finally, the first deliverable allowed us to ask more specific questions and improve our understanding and generate an improved problem definition.
Our affinity diagram, shown here, provides some insight into our initial ideas. The Application Design tab generated ideas for how to make the app usable for children and familiar to the regular phone app that they are used to. As well, accessibility was identified in development as both Apple and Android phones had to be supported. This is shown in the phone development and phone design tabs of our affinity diagram.
Our empathy maps allowed more insight into the problem as well as the users affected by the problem. Fire safety and protective services wanted to modernize the activity and thought there should be a better way. This empathy map allowed us to understand the need for a solution and the impact that fire education has, as well as the struggle with kids using the phone. The kids' empathy map allowed us to consider what is most beneficial to them and what they are most familiar with. Our project vision is a solution that lets kids practice the 911 call in an easy to learn way to create an enjoyable and educational experience and enhance the education and make firefighters' 911 teachings more effective. This vision is from the combined information from the empathy maps, our affinity diagram, and the information from Candace and the feedback she provided.
Shown here is our final version of our user story map. Our initial versions contained ideas of a web application and user system, but these were pared down over our deliverable discussions and reviews. As we got down to what is really required, our user story map and ideas changed as well to focus on a simple phone app to take place of the touchtone phone that was used before. We started with our requirements gathering, an initial problem definition, and continued on to lo-fi and then hi-fi designs, as shown in release 0.01 to 0.03. Our release 1 MVP is what we have designed and created and will demonstrate today. It is a simple phone interface with tips and reinforcement, and a script to help with 911 call. We also generated ideas for future development, as seen in release 2, post-launch, such as updated feedback, saving of address, and user info.
Our Lofi prototypes contain many different ideas. A lot of these main ideas presented were broad in both scope and unique ideas. Ideas we had during our Lofi design phase were a user system, a web application, navigation to the phone app from within our main app, and achievements to gamify the app. The main feedback received was that the phone call is the main goal of the app. Other features are secondary. There was also conversations about the amount of features and needing to remove some features for later releases. We removed our web application idea and focused on calling and questions involved in a 911 call. Our prototypes used different design ideas, but were all made with people-centered design in mind. Key features were learnability, memorability, efficiency, utility, and a positive experience. Discoverability with affordances, signifiers, and mappings were included as well. The designs were simple to focus on, emulates real life, and is usable and learnable, which helps create a memorable interaction.
These Lofi prototypes have tons of features. Activities page, 911 calls and fire escape plans, etc. Knowledge testing, exams, login sign-up features, notification tab, a profile tab for achievements, and fire escape plan games. This is another more highly ambitious prototype. But here, this more simple prototype is the one that inspired our future design. The phone call, being the main goal and consideration of time, made this prototype more useful. The above design was merged with some other prototypes with a script page, as seen in our hi-fi prototype. This prototype shows us opening directly to the phone and calling 911 very simply.
Learning from our lo-fi prototypes, our hi-fi prototypes kept it minimal and functional, taking into account what the key customers mostly needed and the time frame we had to work on the project. There are only two screens or scenes that the user can navigate to. The main screen is based off of what the customer or the user would actually see in real life when making a call. The second screen is essentially a page of 911 scripts where the user, also children, can train and learn what to say during a 911 call. Reviewing the prototype, important feedback was received to better reinforce learning through the use of Sparky. This helps to keep messaging consistent. As well, touch tones when dialing a number can better engage children when using the app. To keep the project more simple and functional, it was discussed that there is no need to have outside notifications from the app, as this could be annoying, and to assume that the children using the app is supervised by a fire educator or guardian. Lastly, one of the most time-saving solutions that occurred from our check-in was that the call was just a simulation. It didn't have to be a real call. The hi-fi prototype expands on our lo-fi prototype's goal of learnability, usability, and desirability. As well, the bottom navigation bar uses the enclosing principle to present the connected functionality. The titles and intended icons help with signifiers and affordances. The illusion of the call embraces the Wizard of Oz experiment as the call is mediated by another person to create the illusion of a real call. The app is low threshold, low ceiling, with simple navigation and functionality.
Our app is built using React Native and is written in TypeScript. React Native lets you build a mobile app using only JavaScript or TypeScript and using the React framework. It doesn't build a mobile web app, but a real mobile app that is the same as something built regularly for iOS or Android. This is important when something that needs to be written for a specific device is used, such as native code. We use TypeScript due to it allowing the typing of variables, unlike JavaScript. This and other features found in TypeScript help it to be more maintainable and learnable when transferring development. React Native allows you to test in the browser, in an emulator or iOS simulator, and directly on your phone. As we did not have a Mac to test the app on an iOS simulator, being able to run it on a live iOS phone was extremely useful. And now we will do our solution demo. Here's our app running on an Android emulator. This is the main call screen that the child would be presented with when opening up the app. The main call screen is similar to the Lofi prototype that we showed and is inspired directly by our hi-fi design, with a tip box at the top and a nav bar at the bottom. The phone call screen is the completion of the interface for a call task from our user story map. The bottom nav bar uses the enclosing principle to show the connected buttons for navigation, and the icons signify the call screen with the dial pad and the script screen with the notes, and they afford clicking. The slight highlight is also a signifier for which screen is currently selected and helps show the state of the system to the user. The call screen allows the user to type in any number, 1321, but after 3 numbers are pressed and a 4th number is pressed, such as 5, an alert shows them that it's the wrong number. This constrains the child to just 3 numbers while providing a reason that it's wrong. Each number provides dial tone frequencies that you would hear when making a call on your cell phone. This helps them relate this to their real call app, as well as engage them. When 911 is entered and call is selected, the call is completed and the child is walked through the phone call. This is where a firefighter or a parent would help the child with reading and answering the questions. The next and previous buttons again are forward clicking, and the arrows signify the directions as well. These tips and reinforcement messages maintain consistency with feedback and sound and images used. For the questions, we have this picture of Sparky, and the question includes emojis or pictures. It asks, "What is your emergency?" and provides you with extra information, such as a fire or a fire truck, to help prompt them for fire. When you click the next button, after finishing a question, you hear a light tone. This helps reinforce that learning and gives them a good job with Sparky giving them a thumbs up. Throughout these different tips, we maintain consistency and consistency of messaging. We ask, "Where is your emergency? What is your name? What is your phone number?" And then we give them a great practice. When it's all complete, we give them a fanfare and 5 stars. We are trying to reinforce that what they have done is good and trying to make them remember that it is worth it. When you click next, having completed the tips, you are brought back to this main call screen to do it again. In this bottom nav bar, when we go to the script screen, we give an example of the questions that might be asked. And we give what we have in the tip form just in a readable format, and this would be for parents or firefighters. This would be, "What is your emergency?" And the caller would answer, "There is a fire." It would ask where, what their name is, what their cell phone number is, and if they need the police or an ambulance. As well, additional questions are included from the Sask 911 site. When we have these additional questions, we use similarity and symmetry. We have the title and an emoji, as well as symmetry in how they are displayed. And when we go to the bottom, we use the Sask 911 link to provide them additional information. And then they can go back to the 911 call screen and back to this main screen that they see. And this emulator is exactly what you would see on your phone. There is no visible difference. So this is a direct representation of what it would look like.
So for future work, came up with different ideas that we can complete within the time we had, or that need some discussion before they are done, such as saving user info or updating the sounds we use for feedback. General updates could be made, such as the update of sounds and navigation to improve the overall experience based on feedback and user testing. As well, we want to allow user info to be saved, such as the address, their phone number, and other helpful tips that could be used to enhance the training simulation.
GitHub stamp of approval. Our GitHub is all up to date. All files, README, info, and functionality is finished. Our deliverables are separated out into folders, and we created a README and installation file for our app, as well as additional resources to help with using it. Folder structures was updated as well.
How did you feel about this project? What did you like about it? What did you dislike? The project was a very relevant experience, and we liked how it wasn't just a class that focused on books, and it had some real life experiences. We felt that the project was very valuable as we got to work with a real customer, gain real feedback, and go through the design steps in a more meaningful way. What did we dislike? There were some problems with coronavirus, obviously, but that is nothing against the project or the course. We felt that some extra information with Balsamic could have been helpful, but the information that we received was definitely adequate to complete the hi-fi design.
And in terms of what we learn about ourselves as we work through this project, like Avery said, the virus going on right now, the most important thing that really got this project done was communication through all the technologies we have access to, like Discord, Zoom, etc.
How will we use what we have learned on this project going forward? We noticed the jobs looking for experience in Balsamic, React Native, and JavaScript. The setup for our user story maps will also be useful and valuable as we join development teams in the future.
Thank you for the great semester and project. It was a very valuable experience, and we hope you enjoyed the finished outcome that we created for you.